I'm here with Kayla Mowles. We are live from South by Southwest. Kayla, how are you?
I'm tired.
I don't usually ask the how are you at the start of the podcast, but...
You're asking as if you actually care.
Yeah, it's just some empathy there.
Yeah, exhausted but inspired.
Yeah,
I will say that.
Yeah. Now, we came to South by Southwest here in Sydney, so you didn't have to. This is Business podcast episode. I'm putting it up on the main show because I just want to encourage as many people as possible with our learnings, and also to promote our podcast, This is Business, which is happening weekly wherever you get your podcasts, or YouTube, or it's everywhere.
Yeah, come and watch us on YouTube.
So what do you want to achieve in this half hour standing here in the main foyer before security come and move us?
Yeah, good point. Look, tickets to this event are expensive. I paid $1,000 to come to this event. I insert like a mic drop, like a explosion sound. And I think we should go through our highlights and what we've learned, so then the people don't have to pay $1,000 and they can learn from us.
But I will say, I got a ticket given to me because I spoke at a session.
Yeah.
I think next year, and to be honest, before I'd found out that I was speaking and got the ticket, I booked the hotel because I had planned to get a ticket anyway. But next year, I think it is worth the $1,000, $1,500, whatever the ticket is, because it is a full-on 6-7 day program.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming. So we're going to talk about it. My name's Glen James, joined by Kayla Mowles, and this is
Business.
Right, so how do you want to do this? Do you want me to, because I do have some takeaways that I've learned, and this could be a bit of a on-the-fly debrief for me and my business after curling up in a ball yesterday after a session.
100%. I'm taking away so much from my business. So if you're my team watching this, get ready, because some changes are on the way.
Yeah. So what do you have, like a list? Like, what's your number one overall, I don't know, impact from the conference on you and your business?
I think action item wise, look, there's a lot of high level, there's a lot of strategy, there's a lot of more innovation advice that comes out of an event like this. But I'm really looking for, and I think you are as well, looking for actionable advice, things that I can take away and implement into my business. One of the things I learned from Neil Patel's session was very simple summaries on blogs. So we write a lot of blogs for clients, and people think blogging is dead, et cetera, et cetera. But with AI and people searching more on ChatGPT, blogs are actually really helpful. All text-based content is really helpful to ensure that your business or brand is being mentioned in ChatGPT, and summaries in blogs are really helpful. So that's one action item I'm taking away from this.
Yeah, but that's a really different take, because I had just been to FinCon and all the bloggers are like crying because the way that search is impacting blogs, it's just summarizing it. But from what old mate was saying, still do the blogs, have good references, so AI will reference your brand and your blog if people want to dig further.
Yes, exactly. And I think attention spans are dwindling. So having a summary is really, really helpful to not only improve the user experience, so people are actually taking in the information that you're putting on your blog, but it makes it easier for AI models, ChatGPT, to reference your brand and mention you. And
to be honest, things are moving so fast. Most people who are listening to this will know, like, I use ChatGPT probably now more than Google for information, and even Google has their Gemini. Within the next 6 months to a year, no one's going to be clicking individual websites. Like, unless,
why would you?
Well, but this is the thing. If you want information, like, how do I stop my Thermomix beeping, right? I'm not Googling how to stop my Thermomix beeping, and then it's going to a website. It's just going to go 3 steps, bam.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an AI, but it's pulling the data from your thermo hobbyist website that no one visits anymore, that gets crawled by AI.
Yeah. Yeah. So instead of driving people to your website per se, you're saying drive people to your brand via AI.
I don't even know what I'm saying. All I know is the world within 6 months, search is over.
Yeah.
And it's over for me at the moment. So, this is obviously going on the main show as well. But as a business owner, what are you going to do? That's the thing.
It's a good segue to that session we went to yesterday, day
Yes.
before, the YouTube and podcast one about how instructional videos with your Thermomix, for example, how do I stop my Thermomix from beeping? You would usually search that on Google. There's a YouTube video, instructional video that someone would make. Lots of people are searching for that content. So people are making bank from all of these instructional videos. AI is going to take that over. I don't think people will need to manually create these instructional videos because it'll be so much quicker and easier for an AI video, which I saw your AI video of the cat yesterday. You had to play around with that.
Yeah, and it's just freaky. And that's it. I think that's the difference if you are making content online. Yes, last night in my hotel room, I was watching YouTube as I do, and I stumbled across this bike that had a flywheel, and I'm like, I'm just going to dig deep into gearboxes and flywheels and all that stuff. And I ended up watching a 20-minute AI voiceover with animation on manual and automatic gearboxes.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't need the expert person.
Yes, exactly.
The personality. I just needed data. So I think that's one of the overarching things that I've learned from this whole AI thing. What else did you take away?
Well, actually, just on that quickly, I think the importance of personal branding, if you are a content creator or creating content for a brand, I think that's going to be really, really important.
Yeah.
Because, old mate with the hobbyist, the bike or whatever, people are looking for an answer to a question so that I guess they don't really have a connection to the person who's creating that content, which makes it really easy for AI to replace.
Yeah.
Whereas for our content, for example, people are connecting with us and the way that we display that information.
I like to think my podcast is first and foremost, one, it's no longer a podcast, it's a show. But two, I want to create entertainment.
Yeah,
infotainment. Because you can get data from anywhere now.
Yeah.
But you're not going to go to AI at the moment.
Watch this in 5 years.
Yeah.
We'll be robot.
Okay, what else?
Producing on the fly at the moment.
Yeah.
I went to an Instagram to IRL workshop or a session, and a little tidbit I took from that was the speaker posed the question, who made the most money out of the gold rush? And it was the people who sold the shovels.
Exactly.
So in terms of content creation.
Or the pans as well.
The pans or the tools or whatever.
The infrastructure.
The infrastructure, yes. Yeah. So if you are someone who, in your industry, content creation is massive and you see a lot of people creating content, you don't necessarily have to be in front of the camera like us, dancing monkeys, to make money from that. You can sell the shovels by in the session that I went to, he had created the digital hair awards. So he was a hairdresser. He didn't want to be on camera, but he wanted to provide a space for hairdressers who are creating content and maximize that space. So he created the digital hair awards. In your industry, can you do something like that? Provide either, is it an awards? Is it a community? Is it a tool that these creators can use? Sell the shovels.
Yeah. And that's kind of what, if you followed my story for a while, I'm trying to kind of do that. We've got the new studio set up. I'm now, hiring out the studio to other creators because I want to get behind and, sell the infrastructure to the creative industry.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, after that, we did the session yesterday. He was the chief editor from the MIT Review magazine.
Yeah.
Huge publication, one of the oldest publications in the world. And he did a full session on AI. We sat next to each other. At the end, I'm like, well, I want to kill myself.
Yeah, you were.
And the whole time I'm just thinking, have I got a business that has got a contract that pays well, that is painting the Titanic on its first maiden voyage? Awesome. Yep, they gave me lots of money to paint the Titanic. This is awesome. Lots of work, lots of opportunity. It needs a repaint already because it's been hasn't launched yet.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, bless you, am I renovating the Titanic in my business?
What made you think that?
Well, I think my default as a person, and this is why we have to, as a business owner, we have to really know our default personality. I always default to probably worst case scenario, probably pessimism, probably I can't do this. So, during the session, I'm like, I give up. life's over.
Yeah.
What am I doing here?
Yeah, guys, he literally, the first thing he said, everyone was applauding and he said, I want to kill myself.
Yeah.
That was the first thing he said.
And obviously a poor tasting joke. However, I think as you know, I slept on it and I'm like, all right, for me, one of the lessons that I've learned, and we can go back to your lessons, was, you know, all these sessions that we go to, they're primarily, I think, potentially tactical things that you can implement in your business. I had to step back and not get overwhelmed by one tactic of, you know, we went to an Instagram session with the guy from Vaynerchuk or whatever, Gary V business.
Yeah.
And I'm like, far out, my life's over. My Instagram and socials suck. That's just a tactic within my business.
See, that's so funny you felt like that because I felt so motivated coming out of that.
Yeah, but that's the personality.
But I feel like we both went into that session being like, we hate social media, we hate Instagram, it's such a slog. But we had such a different reaction from it because I left that being like, I now have tools, I feel inspired to fall in love with this platform again that I did used to love.
Yeah.
But I guess had since just gotten a bit over it.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Well.
It's honestly, this episode that we're recording today, it's probably too soon to reflect on the fire hydrant of information. So for me, I had to step back and be like, okay, what are the fundamentals and what's the strategy in my business? Now, podcasting and YouTubing, that is core business, number one. Number two, it's, you know, financial advice, mortgage broking, public speaking, all that. Three, I don't think it's a core strategy, is my socials, but that's just a tactic and a place to communicate.
Yeah.
So I can't get overwhelmed in my business with one session on a hyper-focused tactic because it might not be for me. So I'm just like, okay, I've just got to zoom out. If in doubt, zoom out. What are we doing? Who are we serving? And what tactics fit?
Yeah, I did feel like in Neil Patel's session, he said brands need to be on at least, I think it was like 4 or 5 different platforms. And I think a lot of, you know, if you have an in-house marketing team or if you are the in-house marketing team, you're kind of doing everything, that can feel really overwhelming and a bit misguided advice, I guess, because like, yeah, of course, we'd all love to be on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube.
But it's also a reality and a bandwidth thing for your business. We have to, you know, most attendees are business owners or C-suite or marketing executives. Sure, there probably are, you know, everyday people attending. There's a lot of industry here. I just think you have to, I don't know.
Use common sense.
You've got to lean into the change as well because it's always constant and it's more constant than ever before. Remember, 12 months ago, like no one was using ChatGPT. Like, but it's here now and it will move so much faster. But I don't, like this whole conference for me, there is a you know, NVIDIA's here and all that. They're doing big sessions, but it's not all about AI.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's just kind of the flavor at the moment because it's
the
just
trend,
everywhere.
It's the hot thing.
So what other things do you think that you learned?
So I went to a session about refreshing creative in advertising. So if you are running any Meta ads or Google ads, or if you have like YouTube ads running or any campaigns, it was a debate between, do we keep the same thing running for consistency or do we constantly refresh? I went in there being on team constantly refresh. But I think it was an interesting chat, and I kind of found a bit of a middle ground where you can constantly refresh your creative but have disguised repetition. So they pointed out a lot of the big marketing campaigns, like the Cadbury with the gorilla.
Oh yeah, the
gorilla.
Phil Collins thing.
Yeah, a lot of these, like that's a really big creative swing for a brand, but I think the gorilla was still playing behind like a purple wall. Like there were elements of repetition, and brand recognition throughout all of these big creative swings. So I think that was really interesting because like, I think as a marketer, and probably even with like organic as well, we're constantly trying to find the new trend or the new best performing ad, and you can get a little bit mixed up between whether to start again and refresh or stay consistent.
Yeah.
That was a bit more of like a nerdy marketing session.
No. Anything else that jumped out with you?
That VaynerMedia session, the one that you hated and I loved. There's a lot of new features coming to Instagram. Probably that one of the ones that we spoke about was you'll be able to customize your Instagram feed soon. So kind of tag different topics that you want, like train your algorithm essentially and tag different topics.
Do you think I think the algorithm's gone too far at the moment, because like if you sent me a video of a cat, right, and I watch it once, it's so thirsty now, and then it's just like within 2 scrolls, everything's cat.
Well, that's the point, and that's what he said. He said that is what the algorithm's doing, so they want people to be able to customize it and change the settings and be able to remove cats if they want. I wonder, if you're watching, ask yourself, are you going to be bothered to do that? Because I don't think I am personally. I think the way that these platforms are built and the way the For You element of social media makes people lazy.
Yeah.
And people just expect the algorithm to do the work and for us not to have to customize it. So it's a cool feature for all of the chronically online people that were in the room. I'm not sure if that's going to translate to my parents at home who are scrolling on Instagram.
Yeah, 100%.
What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I don't know. I think
you hate Instagram.
I do. I just hate it.
Anything about social media and you're like, oh.
I think because I hate it because everything changes so fast. You got to do this, you got to do that. You got to be present. I'm like, I don't care.
Outsource.
Yeah, but one
to
thing,
an agency.
Yeah, well, we can do that again if you want. But if you want to go there, I think what I've learned on social media, people rather a personality and a person than a brand. Like there's going to be outlines, and if I do so outsource some of it, I have to be ready to be fully committed. And when we tried that last year, I wasn't really at the party. And it was a bit of an experiment with, our other hosts and whatnot.
Yeah.
But one thing I think that I'm seeing when it comes to all the tech stuff that we've seen here, all the innovation stuff, I reckon as a society, there is a fork in the road now, and there are a million people walking behind us.
Yeah, we've got a wave
okay.
of people.
The audio will be fine. I really think it's like this fork in the road where online is going to be so online, but then you've still got your plumbing business, your hairdressers, your nurses, things that can really, for the next 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years, cannot outsource to a robot.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting it like as a never say never, but there is still a huge runway, particularly for businesses.
Yeah.
So don't get too, I think I get overwhelmed because I run an online business.
Yeah.
And all this online change is like overwhelming.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think there is still such a big opportunity to go back to your fundamentals, serve your customer, be efficient, turn up and charge good money and do a good job, because we're all still going to need nurses. We're all still going to need butchers, bakers, candlestick makers at the moment.
I think
so
events
that's
like
also
this,
a promising, but I just think there'll be more of a divergence from bit of both. Like there's going to be a whole online thing.
Yeah.
It's like this whole Web3 thing, like it's going to be all online, but also the real world. More and more.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think the two can run concurrently. I think that people with online businesses, people with like your plumber, for example, I think all of these online tools and AI and innovation can really help you to be more in real life.
Yeah, but I think I'm more saying the job's not going to be taken.
Right.
Because I've said for years, like, regardless of your business, everyone first and foremost has an online business.
Yeah.
Then you do
right.
Maybe I was not clear and distracted by the 300 people walking past.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot.
Anyway, we'll take a break, and when we get back, we will keep having a chat. We'll be back right after this.
If you're after personal financial advice, don't get it from a podcast. But if you want guidance tailored to your situation, head to moneypodcast.com.au and click Get Help. We'll connect you with one of our trusted professionals, financial advisors and mortgage brokers, who work with people right across Australia. No matter where you are, they can help. Now, before we get back to the show, a quick reminder to protect your financial life. That means having income protection sorted. It means having death cover if there's any debt or dependents relying on you. It means getting your personal insurance in order. Most people insure their car, they insure their house, but what about themselves? Sky Wealth, who support this podcast, are specialist financial advisors who can help you get the right cover in place. Their advice is often more comprehensive and better value than going direct through your super. Book a complimentary 15-minute chat at sky.com.au. That's skye.com.au. And they'll point you in the right direction.
Kayla,
Yes.
anything else that you want to download that might be useful in your business or for other businesses?
The name of one of the sessions we went to was Relevance is the New Currency of Attention. And I think a lot of the themes in this event are about the attention economy and how we capitalize on people's attention.
It's weird because that's always been true.
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
Yes, but I think in that session we went to was I was speaking to the speaker of that session, and we were talking about how social media kind of swung into this like era where you could schedule a month in advance and really pre-plan a lot of your marketing. And I think that's just become very stale. And relevance is now the new currency of attention. So there is an element of being reactive with not only your social media, with your whole business, really, because everything, as you said, is changing so quickly.
Yeah.
So you can't really set and forget anything anymore, which is difficult, but also I feel like it's quite exciting. Yeah.
And I try and straddle that both ways. Like our Tuesday shows, they're not in the bag for more than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And if something newsy comes up, you need the agility in your business to adapt, change, and get something out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It's if you want a different outcome in your business or in your life, you have to do something different than one, what you're doing before, and two, what other people are doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I was having a chat from that session with someone who works for a political party in the social media advertising in the marketing team. And she was really struggling on how to remain, to be able to plan for a lot of their marketing, but also be agile. And I had a quick chat with her about a youth group that I'm working with at the moment, which has a similar situation. And the way we landed on it was 50% planning and 50% agility. So you have a bit of or maybe 60-40. 60-40 planning, 40% agility. So you can respond to cultural moments and say on your social media like memes and trending things, but you're being practical with your time as well.
Yeah. There was a podcast that we recorded that was recently being released on the This Is Business channel, and we were talking about your business is a moving and living thing. And to be honest, it's really hard. So John and Rach, who run the This Is Property podcast, like they've got businesses and it's, really busy. And they bank up like 5 weeks worth of episodes. And I'm like, guys, I get it. You're busy and all that. But it's also not amazing because if you're talking about interest rates and current stuff, the financy news world and all that stuff moves
Changes
so fast.
so quick, yeah.
Now, it's a different with Shelley with This Is Work because a lot of her content is actually legitimately evergreen.
Yeah.
However, if there is newsy things and things of interest like the Coldplay affair thing that popped up, we had the agility to jump in, do an episode and get it up.
Well, that's where the 60-40 rule works well. Because like within any industry, there'll be evergreen content that you can repurpose or evergreen concepts that you can use over and over again. But if you were to just use those concepts over and over again, it's going to be boring. You have to remain relevant.
But I think another thing that I've really learned from being here is, and I've always done this, every time I go to an event or a conference, I get overwhelmed in the minute and like want to shut down.
Yeah.
Then I step back and be like, okay, what are the things that I can take away and cement and implement and do all that? And the encouragement for any business owner is, I went to a session this week that was just totally unrelated to my industry.
Yeah, me
it's
too.
like, I'm going to go into a gamer session or a climate session.
Yeah.
I don't know, something that was just like not in my lane, because you can take concepts that are working in other industries and implement them into your industry.
Yeah.
And that's the power of actually innovation and creation.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the successes of our shows were we had money as a serious taboo type topic. And I'm like, how do I plug in the FM radio vibe? When we started it, with two idiot guys and the smart girl who kind of bounces. And that's how we started. Different industry, commercial radio, overlaid it to the money topic. And because if there's a concept that works in one setting, that concept will likely work with some tweaks in your industry or business.
Have you picked up anything from this event similar, like different industry, same concept that you'll be implementing with your business?
I think for me, at the, I'm sure there's a graph with where my business is at, and, we've had the growth and the plateau and all that stuff, and we might be at more of a maturity vibe.
Yeah.
One thing I come to these events for some high level signals, like confirmation or crap, I've got to change.
Yeah.
One of the big signals that I really got for my own business and audience, and everyone listening, if you've got a business or you work in a team or a manager, it goes back to the fundamentals. You've got to look after your customer and be customer centric. You can have all the best IT, AI in the world, but if it doesn't meet the customer where they're at, if you don't know your ideal customer that you can serve, who you relate to, stop.
Yeah.
And then I interviewed, and it's coming up on the podcast, and I'm going to put it on all the shows. I interviewed the former CEO of 7-Eleven and Blockbuster. I think he's like 70 years old and
70.
Yeah. And he's had a big
He's still
career.
working.
Oh, he's not in those companies. Like one's bankrupt.
Former
CEO of 7-Eleven.
Gotcha.
He was with 7-Eleven for like 20 years.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so he's just written a book, and I read some of his book the night before I did the episode with him. And did you know, and this is not a trick question, you might get it right, you might get it wrong.
Gotcha moment.
Doesn't matter. 7-Eleven and Blockbuster Video, or 7-Eleven and Netflix, they actually do the same thing.
Okay, Blockbuster.
And 7-Eleven or Netflix.
So Blockbuster's movies, DVDs, 7-Eleven's like snacks, food, petrol, convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's the business model. Netflix make things convenient.
Or, I was going to
7-Eleven
say
is convenient.
convenience or like disposability.
Yeah.
Like, it's quick, it's easy. I guess that is convenience.
Yeah. So I'm thinking in my business, what do I do? Basically, sure, there's this hygiene thing with Blockbuster, Netflix, and 7-Eleven. You can buy a shat, right?
Yeah.
But it's that convenience. So I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to do more? And the fundamental thing in my business, sure, we'll talk about money, but for me, it is that entertainment, engagement, community.
Yeah, what value are you providing?
And what value? And Kayla and I were talking yesterday, and the benefits, going to these events, particularly for me, maybe, one of the leaders or I don't know, key people in Australia in the podcast scene or whatever.
Yeah.
You get to network with different people. So like we had lunch with the head of Apple podcasts yesterday, we, caught up with the head of Spotify podcast. Anyway, so you get to really network with these key industry leaders.
Yeah.
And we were chatting over lunch with Apple yesterday, and, we're talking about subscriptions. And I said to Kayla, I'm like, I think we need to, because we are really leaning into this business podcast.
Yep.
I'm going to think about it. I'm not going to react, but I think we're going to actually have the business podcast as a paid subscription or some type of business network, because I need to go back and be like, no, we're running a business. You're running a business too. You should charge for your services. You don't work, and we just try and do something different.
Yeah.
And build whether it's a circles thing or a this is business ecosystem where people
Yeah.
pay, they get the content, they get the monthly coaching from either of, I don't know. So that's kind of what I'm simmering on at the moment.
Yeah. It's a very high level idea, but I think we want to be able to provide better quality value to the audience rather than a spray and pray solution.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that, and my team haven't even heard these thoughts yet. And this is the nature of, how we roll.
The editor's like, oh my God.
Well, I'm even thinking, do I lean in more now that we've got the studio set up, and do I employ a head of growth for a 6-month, 12-month contract, and we try and turn things up to 11 and I don't know, get a bit more strategic. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I think it's really good though that you've taken a lot of the insights that have been shared, because an event like this, as we've said repeatedly, is very overwhelming. There's so much inspiration, almost to the point where it's a detriment.
Oh yeah,
you feel
it's
so inspired.
overwhelming.
It's very
Yeah.
overwhelming. So I think it's really good that you've stepped back, zoomed out a bit, not zoned out, zoomed out, and you've taken action items.
Yeah, but I think as well, that's the nature of me being the leader of the business and strategy and high level. It's more of a direction thing, and the tactics will work themselves out.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I think that's a skill set that I guess once you have owned a business for a little bit, you kind of hone that skill set, being able to zoom out and look at, okay, what do I actually need to take from this, or what do I actually need to do? And I've spoken to quite a few business owners during this event who have been feeling really, really overwhelmed, and they're asking a question of, what content do I create? Or such a big question that feels kind of like a never ending. They don't know how to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And I think I've been having a lot of conversations with people about, how do you get more specific? How do you just simplify? If it comes to content, what content do you resonate with? What content are you liking? What does your algorithm look like? What ads are you clicking on? Just you might feel like you're at the bottom of a mountain, but just take one step.
And do you have any other learnings that you want to finish on?
No.
Okay. I want to leave everyone with a bit of a challenge or an action item, because this is absolutely what I'm always got this process of renewal. If you're running a business, if you're leading a team or a department, or if you've got some type of responsibility at work, have a look at what you can control. Have a look at maybe the 3 main things that are absolutely working, right? Double down on that.
What's absolutely working in your business?
Well, the Retire Right podcast, the Money, Money, Money podcast, and the YouTube.
Yep.
Absolutely working. Double down on that. And then at the expense of letting go potentially things that are not working. So that's
tweaking things that aren't working.
Or you're allowed to stop doing stuff that's good for you and you like doing it. But if your customers aren't into it, you're wasting your time and your energy. So double down on what is working. Remember the fundamentals. Customer first. Look after the customer. Make it easy. Remember your fundamentals. Have a business strategy. Have a strategy for your team. Not every little shiny object tactic needs to be plugged into your business.
Yeah.
Everyone's been saying for years, man, you got to get on TikTok. I hate it.
Yeah,
My
I
fake
told him yesterday
spam
he needs to
TikTok
get on
accounts have
TikTok.
more followers than me. I don't
because
care
you never
for it.
post.
But I don't, and for me, I don't make money from TikTok. So
Not
why would I
yet.
put energy there? But that's the chicken or the egg thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can be bothered even trying it. I might. I don't know.
Yeah.
But one validation thing for me was we've really nailed the whole workflow in our business with our videos and our YouTube and all that stuff.
Yep.
So, yeah, we will, unless you got anything else to add or a challenge, maybe put a challenge out to people listening.
A challenge.
And then while you have a think about the challenge, Kayla Miles, she's got a business and it's called, what's your business called again?
Allies Management.
Allies Management. I'll put a link in the show notes and description. Check out Kayla on Instagram @by Kayla Miles. And by now you should have a challenge.
My brain is empty. I think one of the conversations I've been having over and over again is content in this event. with a lot of my clients as well. So I think my challenge to you, if you're feeling lost with your social media content or your advertising content, do an audit of like, pause this podcast, go to your Instagram app, TikTok app, whatever social media platform you like, scroll for 10 minutes. Whatever stops your scroll, ask yourself why, note it down, and how you can create a post similar, or how you can implement a tactic, whether it's a hook or a trending audio or a font that they use in the video. How can you implement that into your content? That's my challenge.
Love it. Well,
and send it to me if you do.
Yeah.
By Kayla Moss on Instagram.
Thank you so much for joining us. These are just some takeaways from us here in Sydney at the South by Southwest Festival. My name is Glen James, and this is
Kayla Moss, and we are going to go and watch Teddy Swims now.
When's that? 11:30?
Yeah. Oh, we're
Sweet.
early.
I don't even know who that is. Anyway, see you soon. Thanks for following us and sharing this episode with somebody who you think it might add value to. Bye.
Bye.
Any advice is general financial advice only, which does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Because of that, you should consider if the advice is appropriate to you and your needs before acting on the information. If you do choose to buy a financial product, read the Product Disclosure Statement, PDS, and Target Market Determination, TMD, and obtain appropriate financial advice tailored to your needs. Simo Interactive Pty Ltd, the publisher of this podcast, and Glen James are authorised representatives of Money Sherpa Pty Ltd, which holds Financial Services Licence 451289. Opinions or comments from any guests on the podcast are theirs and not those of the host or the publisher or their respective license holders.